You got my contact details, that's my disclaimer. Let's get on to something else. I don't know how we're doing the time here. I'm not watching the time. You okay? Halfway through it? How to make above average profit with less risk in these volatile times. So we're going to talk a bit about property. The secret is to get where the next boom will be, not where it used to be. Same with the stock market. If you started to try to make money out of internet stocks after the tech wreck in 2003, you'd have had a bit of a job. What we do is we buy when others are desperate, not when they want to sell, but when they need or must sell. We see the opportunity, you've got to have the money ready. But whatever you're doing, stock market or property market, I've just said to you, don't need to be in all the time, but think, this is my stock market money, this is my property money. So think long term, but act on short term opportunities. An informed investor can find an investment opportunity regardless of the cycle. Difficult on certain times are the best times. There's never a wrong time to buy. When times are good, it's good. And when times are bad, it's even better. Right now, we can buy properties below the land value. You get the property for free. Everybody knows the stock market price. If you want to buy UOB stock on Monday, you can't go around the corner and get it 25% cheaper because it's transparent. Everybody knows the price. Now, what you need to know is, are you a shark, a flipper, or an investor? A shark is somebody who finds the deals in good times or bad times. And people sell property, this is why you can make money, for all sorts of reasons. Illness, death, divorce, job transfer, business reversal, bankruptcy. There's a lot of people out there with financial problems and they just want to get out of it before the bank does the repo. You think, well, surely they can find somebody. They can't find people. Somebody mentioned yesterday that I was negative on the Gold Coast. I'm not negative on the Gold Coast. I think the Gold Coast is a great buying opportunity. But what I'm going to tell you about in a second is South Australia. So even in flat markets with no inflation, you can make the money. My partner is 67, he's been in the property market 45 years. He said when he started, property never went up. You've got to make the money the day you buy. I mentioned to people yesterday, we're doing syndications because if you're not a permanent resident of Australia or you're not a citizen, you can't buy second-hand property. So we're setting up structures through a lawyer where you get a group of investors together and then we can buy and we can minimize tax and all this type of thing. And we're not buying and holding. We're looking, when we buy, we need to know that it's demand, not being supplied. We don't want to create supply. So we don't want to generate the interest. The demand's already there. So you know, if you're buying something and everything else is 500,000 and you bought for 400,000, bingo, you made your money. If the market goes up, it's a bonus. It means sometimes we have to wait till we find some more things. But if you look, you can find them. We're average deal, looking at 3 to 6 months, but I tell people 12 months because sometimes you have to wait for some planning thing that you might want to do. And you can get involved either by joint venture where we're syndicating people, or some people want a fixed return. So we can have it fully secured against the property through the top law firm in Adelaide, and if people want to just sit there and know they're going to get 10 or 12%, then they can do that. I need to flip on because I'm going to be running out of time. So, South Australia, the young country. This is South Australia. There's 5 drivers to economic growth. I'm talking at the biggest China summit in London. It's 4 days, and I'm speaking in the emerging market sector. And I wrote to them saying, I'm going to talk about South Australia. They said, you didn't read it properly. It's emerging market. I said, this is an emerging market. It was bankrupt in the 90s. It was the lost decade. Bank SA fell over, the Premier lost the money, there was no money. So nothing went on. It's 12 times the size of England. Repeat that, 12 times the size of England. 1.2 million people. Nobody living there. They've got Olympic Dam, which is one of the biggest the biggest open cast mine in the world. 5 drivers of growth: food and wine industry. They've deepened all the harbours, they're trebling their food exports. They just did the largest wheat export ever to Thailand. Food in South Australia is cheaper than Thailand. You want to buy a kilo of pears, buy a kilo of potatoes, a kilo of cherries, it costs you about 99 cents in the market. In the normal market, you can go to the wholesale market, buy it a bit cheaper, but you're going to buy 10 kilos or something. It is so cheap. It is the driest state in the driest continent. But because it's so big, part of it is the food bowl of Australia. Education. Foreign students, they know students are an export business. 7 years ago, 2,000 foreign students. Now, 32,000 foreign students. But I can tell you, there's a tsunami happening. The tsunami is a huge wealth creation coming. The global financial crisis, because a lot of developers on the Gold Coast and whatever went bust, the banks go, oh, boo, developers, no good. We will not lend you money easily for development. There's roughly a shortage of 10 to 12,000 properties a year in South Australia before the boom, and rental vacancies are less than 1%. The mining industry is, I'll tell you, an Olympic Dam, so it had 1 mine. Now it's got, I think it's 7 mines, and the next 3 to 5 years, 200 world-class mines. My prediction at the mining conference was, it will be wealthier than Western Australia. Property prices are 1/5 of Melbourne. I can show you properties where you can buy a couple of acres and the house for less than you can build the house for. Defence industry, it's got some of the most advanced technology globally. And because it was bankrupt, it got the biggest defence contract ever awarded in Australia, $10 billion. It's very advanced on nuclear, submarines and warships. They reckon the defence industry is going to employ more people than the mining, but there's nowhere to stay. In infrastructure to do with everything else. I mentioned Olympic Dam. They've got the world's 5th largest copper deposit, the #1 uranium deposit. To me, the #1 uranium deposit is like saying, let's invest in Saudi Arabia before they strike oil. Because when all this stuff, India couldn't buy uranium before. It's starting to do it. It's going to have nuclear energy. There is no other answer. You can't make enough electricity from solar and wind. You can't do it. It's going to happen. BHP alone is planning $10 billion expansion. The defence industry, they're going to double from $1 billion to $2 billion by 2013 to spending. This is a place for 1 million people. There's no people. It's very English. I'm English, right? That's why I like it. They said they didn't allow any convicts there, something like that. When I filled the form in and I was trying to get PR status, when they said, you know, you ever been convicted of anything? I said, do you need to be? Well, they wasn't quite sure, but anyway. They can increase employment from 16,000 to 28,000. Everybody used to leave South Australia. If you ask most Aussies, they go, city of churches. No, the only thing that came out of there was Don Bradman, you know, boom, best cricketer probably ever in the world. And they're spending a huge amount of money on that stadium. So much money being spent in South Australia. The schools are brilliant. Any of you guys thinking of sending your kids there for education, top class. Anyway, a lot of infrastructure thing. I think it told us about 10 billion. This is the superhighway, 800 million. 2.6 billion is being spent on modernising public transport systems. Why? Because the boom is coming. If you go 70 kilometres outside of Adelaide to Murray Bridge, you'll see probably the biggest Woolworths in the whole of Australia. But there's only 3,500 people live there. What's going on? Well, they're closing down the prison in Adelaide because they don't have enough land, moving it out there. 3,500 people are going to have to move to Murray Bridge or commute. And they've been closing down all the racetracks because they've got not enough land in Adelaide. They're doing a state-of-the-art one out at Murray Bridge. Another 3,500 people going. Doesn't sound a lot, does it? But if you've got a population of 3,500 and it's going to become 10,500 and you haven't got any more properties, what's going to happen? 1 billion they're spending on construction work on schools. The Premier said he wanted it to be the education capital of Australia. So we've got the world's largest uranium deposits, fifth largest gold deposit in the world. When I spoke at the recent mining conference, one of the mining companies who just got all its geological reports back said they have a minimum of $1 trillion worth of iron ore, diamonds, gold, silver, copper, but from nowhere. This place didn't have anything before. So it's going from broke to having 200 world-class mines. Now, my kids from my previous marriage went to Perth. Boarding school in Perth, uni in Perth. I had a property in Dalkeith. I had another property in Florida. And when the mining boom started, nothing happened. But what I didn't realise, the rental yields were going up, and then all of a sudden they got to around 10, 12%, and investors said, hey, we should be buying property. And in 3 to 4 years, the property in Florida went from 400,000 to 1.2 million. Similar thing, I think the property in Dalkeith went from 1 million to 4.5 million. Property in Adelaide is about 1/6 of the price. You can buy a mansion in Stirling, which is very, very English. When the Brits went there, they cut down all the Aussie trees and put elm trees and oak trees. You can buy a mansion, pillars, driveway, sandstone, beautiful 5-bedroom villa with a tennis court, swimming pool for around 800,000 Singapore dollars. To build that property would cost you about 1.5 million. It is crazy. Margaret River is down from Perth, right? When my kids first went to boarding school, they used to drive down their dirt tracks to get to Margaret River. Houses, 300,000, 350,000, now 5 million. That's what happened when the mining boom comes. But we're not just talking mining, we're talking food, we're talking infrastructure, we're talking defense. So, think China, think South Australia, think population growth, think more houses, think property. But I'm not suggesting to you, you can if you want, you can buy and hold. But I'm saying you can make money in and out. So my idea is you have an equity portfolio, liquid, you're in, you're out. When you're out, just sit, wait. You have a property portfolio where you're in and out every 12 months. Either you're looking to be part of a syndicate, looking to make 18, 20, 25%, or you don't want to do that, you want a fixed return. And then if you want, you can have some properties which are going for the long-term rentals and the capital appreciation. That's a little bit more of a sleepy way of doing it. My partner, if you met him, he's German, I'm English, right? German and English guy working together. I'm going, what's going on, dude? Anyway, he's all about make the profit, bank the profit. Because when he was 26, he nearly went bankrupt doing a big development. And since then, he doesn't believe in all that stuff. You've got to buy undervalue. He said developers, they buy a piece of land, work out what it's going to cost to build, then add the profit on, and then pray that they can sell them. If you know there's demand, and every other price is 500 grand, as I told you, and you're buying for 400 grand, you know you're going to make the money. It doesn't, the only problem with it is, I can't sit here and say, here's 50 properties for you to buy. Because what we've got to know is, there's another syndicate, then we've got to go and find them. Then we tell you, this one, do you want to be in it or not? If you don't win it. You go in the next one. So there's not, I'm not flogging you a book of properties. And for me, I don't have to be in South Australia. I'm an absolute return manager. I can be anywhere. That's why I'm interested in the Gold Coast now. Because some of the things up there have been, prices, a lot of the developers went bust. So real property profits are created as a result of supply and demand. Same with the stock market. We only want to buy a stock for one reason. We believe it's going to go up, and it's not going to get out. There will be a housing shortfall of 500,000 homes by 2020. Now look, this is the chairman of KPMG. Believe in the coming boom. population growth of 2 million by 2050, with an interim target of 1.64 by 2014. This target, 2050, is now come down to 2027. And he said it's going to average 10 to 20,000 homes per year needed. There's a massive shortfall going on. And this again was quoted in the newspaper. Adelaide, the cheapest properties in the nation. Unreal. Rental vacancies are less than 1%. The idea is we buy undervalued on the day that we buy, and that's when we know we've made the profit. Any predicted upside, all this stuff I'm telling you, the reason why it's going to go up, is just an added bonus. We're not really looking at that. We look to be in and out in 12 months. Australia is a vast country, and that's why people get confused. But they've got strict zoning rules. So, plot ratios are decreasing, allowing us to profit from residential subdivisions. You used to need 1,000 square meters for a house. Now it's 500, 300, in some cases 150 squares. So when you buy a house, it's normally not related to the house in the land. So what we've been doing is buying houses in suburbs where a house with a small piece of land is selling for $1,000 a square meter. If you get a house with a big plot, you can buy for $600 a square meter. 2006, we moved from Western Australia. We said it was all over Red Rover. It was crazy. They're giving away properties in South Australia. I was buying properties for $240,000. You can't do that. They're $350, $400. And what I was doing was what they call bowling the house down, knocking the house down, subdividing, and doing nothing, just making 25% return. The reason you can't do it now, as soon as you turn it to bare land, it's very difficult for anybody else to get finance. We get finance quite simply through, there's a law firm there who's a licensed loan guy, so he's known my partner for 30 odd years. So we just fill in a form, tomorrow we got the money, because he knows we're in and out. So it's quite simple for us to do. So if you cut a plot up, suddenly you've got the house, you've got 3 other plots, but the land on those plots isn't worth 600, it's worth 1,000. But you have to build in order to make it easy for somebody to buy from you. And if you go to, as I said, Murray Bridge, anyway, if you email me, just put a note, or you fill that form in with a little note of your interest, I got a whole website on this stuff. Huge. This was the last thing we did in Prospect. One of the suburbs was called Prospect. Clients put 480,000 in, made 210,000 profit. We thought it was going to be 9 months. I'm showing it to you because my partner broke a cardinal rule, but anyway, I'll tell you about it. It took 18 months. So we made 44% in 18 months, which is 29% annualized. That's now. It just happened now. So how many investments in the last 18 months have made that? Not many. Oh, many. And what happened here was, I'm not a religious person, I'm more of a Buddhist than anything. But my partner is a certain religious type, and one of the guys in his congregation asked him, because he's a builder out at Murray Bridge and Mount Barker. He said, look, you know, I built 16 homes in 4 months. Can I get the contract? But it's nowhere near what he's doing his stuff. So he went over. Now we've sorted that out. We've got new contracts with some of the biggest builders. They have to build within 9 months, otherwise they have to pay $1,000 penalty per day. So I got 4 minutes to talk to you about food care. Miracle years. This is what they've been writing in the paper. And I think I mentioned yesterday, I made a Freudian slip. I said Thaksin was back in power, but I'm getting old, I got confused. Yingluck, his sister, right? Not his, but back in power. So they've had all the setbacks over the last 5 years. Tsunamis, red shirts, you know, you name it, it's had it. So now what's happening is the new lady in charge, she's spending 500 million on a marketing campaign to boost tourism in Thailand. And what she wants to do is double the amount of tourists to Phuket in the next 3 years. And they're going ahead with the largest exhibition centre in the whole of Asia. As I said here, there's not going to be enough rooms. Now, I come from England, right? So I saw Spain take off, Tenerife, France take off. And the reason I first got involved in Phuket, there didn't seem to me to be a natural retirement location in Asia. If you go to Phuket now, you can go so cheap from Phuket, from Singapore. You see